Do you see something asking for your permission?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Oh, I've got to turn off. I'll mute all my stuff here. Hello.
Hello, April.
So beautiful to see you again.
Yes, you likewise. You too. Um, it's been quite some time um, since we last connected in. I've kind of been taking, not kind of, I have been taking a break from doing the interviews and having so much of an online presence, but I'm starting to get back into it today and with you. And
Right.
so this is my first interview or kind of online presence in this way for, I'd say about 2 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, about 2 years, I think I've kind of been out of it. And today's date is the 25th of June, 2024. And it's 7 p.m. here in Ireland, because I was in the UK when I started to do the interviews. And I think that's how I met you. I met you because maybe not directly, but I definitely met you through doing the interviews. I
Right.
discovered you, or vice versa.
I think I discovered you through your book. I
Okay.
may have seen you interviewed, and then I got your book, The Pleiadian Child. I read it, and then I messaged you. I know that I wanted to interview for Galactic Grandmother Heart to Heart, which is my YouTube channel. Um, I'm in, it's 11 a.m. here, and I'm in San Diego. So you can see I'm outside, and it's a beautiful warm day here.
It looks so beautiful there with the trees and is it Chinese lanterns?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I it's interesting that you're not the only one that's taken a little pause from doing videos. I have not released a video since October of last year. And I've just been living life and having a lot of, fun and just a lot of self-reflection and learning about myself. And just recently, I have suddenly, same as you, it's like my inner guidance is saying, okay, break time's over, time to get back to
Yeah.
work. And this week I've got tomorrow and the next day interviews set up. So it's back to work for me too. And I feel really good about it. It just seems like we pick up the same collective consciousness, and I've just recently talked to someone else that's doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think so many of us, when COVID kicked off, um in it was actually December in the UK, December, um 4 years ago. So it was 2019, 2019,
Mhm.
in December, and it was forecast to kind of really start to things to change in January of 2020, which is what happened. And I remember that like I think those days are etched into our very souls for so many
Right,
people, because it was such a huge bombardment of
right,
um the overlords, the and the mass hysteria, really, the mass and the fear and the propaganda and all of it. It really shifted our
terrible.
reality and brought us out of the wardrobes, brought us out of the spiritual closets. And a lot of us, so many of us, started. I never thought I'd be doing interviews,
Yeah,
but so, like, and I'm sure you're the same.
right. I look back at that time and I'm appalled because in retrospect now, having seen how my granddaughter and the other children at that age, she was about 12, was she 12? 4 years ago, 11, 12, taken out of school, isolated, and so many younger generation now suffer from anxiety, and they got more into their iPhones and their electronic devices, which I don't really think is healthy either, rather than being outdoors and playing with their friends. And so now I see my granddaughter, she just turned 15. She seems to be coming out of it now, but it was bad, not only for the adults and the aged, the seniors that got so isolated,
Yeah,
for the kids.
yeah. I think the children and the elderly were the worst affected.
Uh-huh.
And there were a lot of reports in the UK at the time of elderly people in care homes that weren't allowed to see the families.
Oh,
And some of them were turning up outside the window, trying to say hello. It was just horrendous,
yeah,
horrendous.
yeah.
And but I think on a more positive note, there is blessings, because it was kind of I don't think the negative agenda realized the backlash that they would have from the
Mm-hmm.
likes of you and me and others, the star seeds and the light workers and the healers and the shamans and the warriors and the goddesses and people who are awake and aware. I don't think they realized the backlash, that the strength that we would move forward with and become much more united. But it's been quite a journey, hasn't it? The last 4 years have been a roller coaster ride.
The backlash has been amazing because a lot of people awakened. A lot of people got into the disclosure movement, about politics, about outer space and secret space program, so many things like that. And then also in the spiritual communities. Even if you weren't in the spiritual community, just being isolated, it really interrupted your life. It stop and reflect, and is this what I really want? And a lot of people changed their lifestyles and really did get into the spirituality, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's evident that a lot of the people really have woken up en masse, and a lot of the things that were considered conspiracy theory
Uh-huh.
are now coming to light more than ever. And I've been seeing a lot of reports of food, and I've had my eye on the lab grown meat for quite some time, at least 8 years, I think, maybe 5 or 8 years. And I knew it was coming, but now it's in the public domain. And also plastic food. I don't know if and also chemtrails. So a lot of things are coming to light, and also a lot to do with UFOs and conspiracy theories, But I wanted, before we talk more about things,
Okay.
I wanted to say today is an important day, because
Okay.
Julian Assange, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, was released today.
Yay!
He was released, which is just amazing. So I think it is an really important day in history, and I think that signifies a huge move forward of the light and for the light and towards the light, and significant changes on Earth. I've been doing much more channeling, which has the Pleiadians, and I do a weekly group now. but they've been saying for quite some time that the 6 months is going to be really important, and we're in the 6th month. So, and they haven't said what it is, but they just said it's going to be a very important month. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Julian, and I just it's just amazing after all that time. I don't know how long he was in prison for.
Years.
Yes, yeah.
Years. I did read about that yesterday, that a deal was brokered with the United States, you know, where he would not be arrested, and any all his time served already made him a free man, basically. So, yay, I'm so happy about that. Boy, he certainly has suffered for his principles.
Yeah. And I wonder why now? What is going on behind the scenes that he would be released now? It's fantastic. But what is the bigger picture is really what I have been asking myself today. And is there a connection with Trump? Because he's coming to mind. But anyway, I've got loads of questions for you.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. So I wanted to, one of the questions I have is about your work and your past lives, because I know they come up a lot, and what you've really been doing since 2020, and the changes that you've made in your life and the changes you've seen, whether it's international or whether it's local neighbors, you know, and also to do with the systems on Earth, like what changes have you seen in the big pharma or the food industry or the chemtrails, like all systems? What have you noticed?
Well, my personal life, starting in when the lockdown began in 2020, my inner guidance had me start writing books about my past lives. And I wrote many books. The first one was My Life with Jesus, and he had actually, I've had a past incarnation with him, and he actually came to me and said, this will be the first book we write. And he gave me a download that's included in it. But that's what I did. I spent probably most of that first year writing books, and since then until now, well, I've continued on with the I had started out a long time ago as a Reiki master because I was really interested, with my background and working in hospitals and with patients. I was interested in the mind-body connection. And through becoming a Reiki master and studying English, energy, then that's how I started to understand. And then from there, the next step has been my inner guidance. About 2017 had me learn about multidimensionality and working in the quantum field. And I took some integrative quantum medicine classes, and it's evolved like we all do. I've in the past just done a lot of counseling and going in on the quantum field to help heal, you know, different things that are from physical or past lives. But it seems like lately, in this past year, I have been doing a lot of quantum shaman work. I have been doing house clearings a lot. Like last week, I just did there was multiple entities in a house, and I went in and I can start remotely and look and see what's going on at the house, but then I go over and we did a walkthrough. I saged. I really got into which entities were where, if they were just benign or malevolent, and it was really interesting because there was actually a Sasquatch that was coming through,
Oh,
and the husband had woken the whole family up several times because when it came through this portal in their house, they have a very large house with a huge mirror, and it would come through right at that area on the stairway, and they would hear these loud pounding steps, and it was just curious. That's all. So I went in and I got an agreement with that family, that gathering of Sasquatch, that, you're disturbing the family and that's their sacred space. So things like that. It's been really, really interesting. And with all of the interruptions they had the night before, after I was there, they all slept great. Haven't heard a thing since. So from this client, I've gotten other referrals for the same kind of thing for the last year. So that's been interesting for me. And I don't know if it's because due to the energies coming in that certain portals are becoming activated. Do you know have you heard anything about that?
I have. I have. I've heard some. I've seen some um information on the social medias, but I don't know that much about it. But I have seen some very negative portals being opened up. I think there was one in public places. I think there was one in a shopping mall, maybe October, November last year, that was in America somewhere, where people were running, and then there was also meant to be some landing or something. I think that was Florida, where a
Oh,
portal.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that? Where a portal had been
Oh,
opened?
yeah.
Yeah, a
Well,
portal.
I didn't know it was a portal. I only know that I saw people on Instagram and TikTok giving their firsthand accounts on what they saw as the beings that were in that mall.
Yes, and before that, I saw clips of what had happened before that. A videotape was played of the being, and it was a portal. They had opened up a portal. Some kids had opened up a portal in
That's right. Yeah.
reportedly kids. Now, I don't think these are kids or normal kids. These are young people, maybe young people. But you can never trust the media and what they report. So I don't know if they're young, or I don't know who these people are, but a group of people opened up a portal in the shopping mall, I think after it had closed, and they were still there. And then you could see things happening in the video. And then I saw the other videos with the ETs. But and I think that was a genuine landing. But what's really interesting to me is that a few weeks before that, I had channeled, and the Pleiadians were saying that there would be a real landing in Florida. Now that's recorded on tape, but I thought that was really interesting. And some of the information that they share with me, April, it just blows me away sometimes. But anyway, going back to your work and the Sasquatch, I can't pronounce it properly. Is that the first experience you've had with one of the Sasquatch?
Yes. And it was a surprise because in the same home, they had gotten home from vacation, and I had previously done some work there at the house, clearing and blessing, and it was good. And I don't know what went on when they were on vacation, but they got back, and the first night they were disturbed by these loud pounding steps on the stairs, by the daughter seeing a gray shadow move across her room and then move a cross that was over the door. The little baby would cry and scream, and he wouldn't sleep in his room. I mean, there was just so much going on, that there was sleep paralysis, so much. And that first night she called me in a panic the next morning saying, you need to come over. And when I was checking out everything and clearing things, I was so surprised when it came to the Sasquatch. And apparently where they live, it's in a kind of a rural area of big gated community of homes. Like I said, kind of mini mansions in the hills. And I don't know, it's still pretty rural around there. It's an interesting area. We do know that there were some Indians that lived in that area, but I had no idea that there were Sasquatch too. And, they're interdimensional. And I think they may have just taken the opportunity, if they saw this portal that was open, to come in. And just out of curiosity, that was the word I heard, that this one had come in out of curiosity. And so that's the first interaction. I just made contact with it's like a large grouping family, and just explained to them. And that's generally how I work in the quantum, is I'll just explain, you're disturbing the peace of this family, and it's their sacred space, so to speak. And would you please not do that? And they were very cooperative.
There's so much that we don't understand, that we've been, taught that if you can't see it, it's not real. And I think so many people are waking up to the fact that is a deliberate influence to steer us off the right path. And
now, I am reading books right now, which are true accounts of this Romanian scientist. His name is Radu Cinamar, Cinamar. And I started, he's got about 7 books, and I started about on book 4 or 5. And he is talking about his experiences of, they have found entrance portals that go into inner Earth, to different civilizations down there. It's been a high top secret cooperation between the United States, China, Romania. I don't know who else is involved, but they've limited anyone that can really come in. And if you're a scientist, or you have to you have to have a certain consciousness in the first place to be even passed through the portal to get to the higher frequencies. Otherwise, your body couldn't even handle it. And it's fascinating. And it's fascinating how this information is out there, and no one knows about it.
Yeah, it's kind of hidden, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff that's been hidden previously, like UFOs and ETs, star nations,
Right.
even our real history, like Tartaria. So much is coming to light now. It's just, what a time to be on Earth. And so one of the questions I also have for you, I know that I always kind of maybe have a lot of questions and ask all of the questions at the same time.
I like it.
But how have you been finding the energies? Let's I don't know if you want to answer that and just talk about the recent energies, say over the last 6 or 3 months, or if you want to go back to 2020.
I don't think I want to go back to 2020. I think that where I would really like to start is in the last, you may hear the train going by.
I did hear that. I thought it was my phone.
We live on a hill, and at the bottom of the hill, there's a commuter train. And so you'll hear that on occasion. It is really, I think, in the last year and a half, the energies have just been exploding. The disclosure from, like you were talking about, food. People are appalled about the foods that they're coming up with, they want us to eat. And, you know, from the bugs to the fake foods to the, I don't know if you've heard about it. It's, I believe it's a Gates coating on fresh fruits and vegetables called, I think it's APEEL.
Yes.
And even they're putting it on organic. So you have to be, it's really almost forcing us to try and grow our own food if at all possible. Or like, I'm fortunate enough to live in an area where there's a lot of small farms, and there's a farm collective that they'll deliver a box of produce to you once a week. And that's, you know, good quality produce, mostly organic, but nothing bad sprayed on it. And so people are just, I'm on Facebook and I see groups of people that are concerned about bioengineering. You know, there's so many of the processed foods that you find in the grocery aisles that say bioengineered. And then you start with a GMO crop, and then you go into bioengineering and artificial this and artificial that. It's, boy, the trains are busy. So the food. So I'm happy that people are really, the resurgence of awareness of the food they're eating. Also the air quality. Chemtrails have really gone from, and it seems to be cyclic. Some days I'll look up in the sky and there'll be crisscrosses of chemtrails. Some days, like the last few days, it's absolutely gorgeous and clear. The water, people are, you know, are thinking about what's in our water nowadays. We know that fluoride is not good for us in any form, toothpaste, mouthwash, or water. So a lot of people are going into water purification systems, like even if it's on the counter kind. I have a Berkey, which is a purifies the water and takes the fluoride, most of the fluoride out. And what else? People are just awakening. I see a lot of people that are survivors of the secret space program that are having memories coming back. They're getting online and they're trying to educate people, you know, that this is real, that they were abducted as children and they were used for these dark programs. You know, there's so many things coming to light now. That's what I've been noticing in general in the collective consciousness. And for me personally, I love the fact that people are awakening, and and I found if I drop into my meditative state, it is so easy now to get into this beautiful, blissful, loving, just feeling. It's just, you know, I just drop into this higher consciousness that, you know, you're shaking your head. It's so beautiful. And it's so right here with us now. It just doesn't seem like it, you have to do much and it's there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm very much in that same space of getting myself into that energy on a daily basis, using different techniques. We were saying about that earlier, and I don't want to mention them now, but that they're well known enough. But I'm combining two of those techniques by different women in the field, in the spiritual field, that are really good. So so how have you been finding the energies over the last, let's say, month?
For me personally?
Yeah, but I'm
I,
sure,
I
when you feel it, it's collective as well.
for me, I've just been enjoying my life so much. I just came back from 2 weeks in Costa Rica, which was a really fun vacation. And uh just it's been a lot of and this is what I've been finding is with other people too, is that maybe it's that we're anchoring in the higher frequency energies that we're antennas for.
Mm.
We're anchoring it in to our lives here
Wow.
because that's kind
Wow.
of what I feel like I've been doing is that I've been in tapping into these enjoying these higher frequencies so much, being happy and then anchoring it into my life.
That's exactly what I've been doing.
So I think that that may be I bet you if we talk to others in our spiritual community, they're doing the same thing. I do know one other person, a dear friend that lives in Mount Shasta, and that's what's been happening with her as well.
Wow. Isn't it beautiful? It just like, and half the time I can't describe most of the stuff I go through, or we go through, because it just feels like it's so, that the energy is so high, it's just so out there, that how can you describe something that is so loving and positive and intense, and a whole mix of things, a whole mesh of different feelings and emotions, um and make it tangible and put it into words for people. um but basically it's raising the love frequency, but simply put.
Now, I have noticed something when we were in Costa Rica, the first night we slept so peacefully with very vivid dreams. Woke up feeling rested, and the only thing we could find that it was that the Wi-Fi and our telephones were way across the room from us. And when we got back after 2 weeks, the first night we were back with the Wi-Fi plugged in and our telephones on the bedside tables, even though I have EMF protectors that we set our phones on to interfere with the EMF, we noticed the difference big time. So what we've been doing is unplugging the Wi-Fi at the wall at night when we go to sleep. And I have noticed a difference. One night we forgot to do it. I woke up in the middle of the night. I couldn't get back to sleep, and I was having a lot of really bad thoughts come to me that didn't belong to me.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard some frequencies are transmitted. But I can't say, all I can say is my experience was not good. So the next morning, since then, we've been unplugging the Wi-Fi.
That's a smart thing to do. I noticed how how my phone was really starting to affect me when I was sleeping at night, and I've started to turn it off now at night. So um and I don't live by myself, so I'm not able to, I don't have the kind of authority to turn off the Wi-Fi, because there's other people here. But if I did, I would. But I've been turning my phone off at night, and that's been making a huge difference, because like you, I was finding I wasn't sleeping well, and I was getting disturbed sleep, and I was waking up with thoughts, negative thoughts that weren't mine. Like I wouldn't be thinking that. I know I wouldn't be thinking that,
Right.
and we have a smart TV here as well, so that gets turned off when we're not watching it, which is good. But all these technologies really do affect us in a negative way, because they're designed to affect us in a negative way. You know, anything that is a smart TV or a smartphone or a smart meter, um, it's yeah, there's just we've just been bombarded for so long with such with technology that's used in a negative way. And I think the more sensitive we are, the more we pick it up. And you know, I'm a great believer in past lives, but I also believe that we've been tracked and traced from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, and they know who we are before we do. I remember I've had a couple of experiences I just might share quickly recently, over the last couple of years, that I discovered answers for myself. So I'll give you an example. So one experience I had as a child, I can't remember exactly how old I was. I was between 9 and say 13. And I had this very vivid dream, and I knew it was real. I didn't know it was called astral planing. I just knew it was a real dream. And I was in this glass building, and I was in London somewhere, and I wasn't even sure what country the building was. But it was a glass building, and I knew that much because I could see it. And it was very vivid, very real, very colorful. And I was talking to I don't remember any women being there, but I'm sure there was, but I remember a lot of different men walking around in suits, and some of them were talking to me. And there was a lot of glass, like the whole building was glass, inside and out, like it was just glass, everything. And the windows were tinted so that you could see out, but you couldn't see in. So it was like a dark glass. And I remember the sunshine hitting the glass building. But anyway, and that I had that experience as a child. But recently, and this is what I mean when I say they know who we are before we do, because I didn't know who I was then. I didn't know my mission or my purpose or my higher awareness or sense of being or any of that really. But anyway, so I was watching a movie within the last year, and I saw the building, and I was like, oh my God, that's the building I was in. And you'll never guess where it was. It's like you couldn't make this stuff up. It's the MI5 building in London. I know, like you couldn't make it. You couldn't, like, you can't make this stuff up.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Sometimes the experiences I have, they do blow me away. I'm like, oh my God, really? Like, so anyway, past lives, yeah, we get tracked and traced from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. So they know who we are before we do, before we wake up as children, even with the spiritual experiences we have as a child. But I'm fascinated about your past lives and your connection to Jesus, and also your past lives in Native America, because I know that I know you've had them, and I know you've got Native American guides, and I think that I think we've definitely got a past life connection, and the connection to Jesus and the Native Americans as well. And I remember having experiences of Native America in a dream again as a child, or dreams, and from a very early age always had a very strong connection to them. Sorry, I'm kind of
Oh no,
talking.
I love hearing about that. I'm registered with the Choctaw Nation. I could have registered with the Chickasaw Nation as well, because my grandmother was full-blooded Choctaw. Her husband was Chickasaw and Cherokee, I believe. And so with other stuff mixed in, there was some French and I'm not sure English or something, but in my grandmother's honor, because she had a great influence on me. She was psychic. She would always, I'd come in and she'd look at my aura and tell me what color my aura was. And, she was very psychic with knowing things. And so was my mom. But my grandmother, my Indian grandma, although she followed and she was aware of all the Indian spiritual stuff, she loved Jesus. She would read the Bible too. And so it was an interesting combination, but I have that too in this lifetime, and I've had many experiences about it, in particular a previous lifetime as an Indian that had kind of a big effect on me. And yeah, I wouldn't doubt it at all, because when we first, I believe when we meet people and we haven't that instant knowing, instant connection, heart to heart with them, they're soul family. We've been in other lifetimes together. What was besides the Native American, what was the other one that you were talking about? Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah. That was an interesting life, because I have incarnated, like in this lifetime. My soul has actually incarnated into two of us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm April, but I've been made aware of a man that's incarnated currently that's also me, an aspect of me. I mean, I don't know how you say that, and I've done that in we were born on the same day. I'll never meet him, but I was connected to him to see what kind of what he was going through a few years ago. And that's how I found out that it's not just this lifetime where I've decided to incarnate as a female and a male, but in a previous lifetime, in the lifetime of Jesus, I did the same. Now, this is going to probably blow a lot of people's minds, but it goes against a lot of 3D ideas of what Jesus should have looked like. But when I saw him, he had very blue eyes, and he was had kind of that a light brown hair with blonde highlights in it. I mean, he did not look like a man should look like in that part of the world. And I've learned that he was I believe it was Pleiadian.
Yes.
You can confirm that for me.
Yeah,
I believe
absolutely.
it was Pleiadian.
Yeah.
He came in and he had support. Now, like the book that I wrote about my past life with Jesus, I was a man. I was named Samuel, I think. It's been a while since I've written the book. But anyway, I ended up leaving my family to follow him for 3 years. And then, but at the same time I was doing that, I was totally unaware that I was a female from, I can only say, a ship that was energetic support for Jesus during his time that he was doing his, I don't know what, his work, his main work. And I know that sounds totally freaky, but that's my experience, that at the same time, again, in that lifetime, I was a divine masculine and a divine feminine, two different, totally different jobs in that life. One I followed Jesus, the other I was being energetic support for Jesus. And I had seen myself as a female with this long brown hair. But I knew exactly what I was supposed to be doing at that time.
We both seem to have had we both seem to have a very strong connection to Jesus, really strong and up close and personal, and past lives with him. and I I did have an experience with him when I was 12, and he stopped me from committing suicide.
Mhm.
And I was in a church today, and I took a picture. Oh, and the other thing I would like to add first is that the Pleiadians did tell me that Jesus is a Pleiadian. He's not who we think. He's not who the religious systems would the religions would have us believe he is. He was Pleiadian. And I was in the church today, and I took a picture. I saw a beautiful, because I love churches, oddly as that may sound, I love the architecture, mostly, and the space, the space in the churches, because they have such tall ceilings, and the sound, and the whole the whole thing. I love churches. I normally go in where there's no one in there, because I don't like the whole religion thing, or the Catholic Christian thing. I'm very much against that, but the buildings and the architecture is just beautiful. And so I was in the church today, and I took a picture. I'd like to share it with you. It was just a beautiful picture. It's on my phone, so I'll bring it up and show you on the camera. But it made me stop and think. I mean, I've known it for a long time, but it's such a beautiful picture. So it's of Jesus on a
cloud.
On a cloud. Yeah, that's why I'm mentioning it, because the cloud to me represents coming down from above on a ship. That's what the cloud represents. UFOs, they do hide themselves amongst clouds. And I think so much of the art and the carvings and engravements and things like that, where you've got angels coming down from above, and there's so much representation there,
Right.
Angels and UFOs coming down from above. It's to me, it's very obvious now. It's in plain sight.
That I've always, when I was a child in this lifetime, I don't know, I was maybe 7 or 8, Jesus was with me for at least a couple of days. I remember getting in the back seat of my parents' big sedan, and then I looked to my left, and Jesus is sitting in the back seat with me. Of course, as a kid, I didn't think anything of it, and he was just with me for a while. And I've just always felt that close connection. Of course, we didn't call him Jesus, but nowadays that's what we refer to him as. But I just believe he was just a wonderful, wonderful, advanced, enlightened being that loved us so much, loved everyone. He is love, and he wanted to do his part to help us all spiritually grow. And so, yeah, it makes me feel good thinking about him.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in, if I may ask you, is there, between now and the end of the year, have the Pleiadians said anything in particular that is of interest to you about what humanity or will go through, or anything of interest you'd like to enlighten us with?
Geez, where do I start, April? They've shared so much, especially over the last couple of years since COVID kicked off. But recently they've been, I think since the beginning of the year, actually, they've been talking a lot about, because they do give me dates to that are up and coming to keep an eye on, or important dates to be mindful of or aware of. But they've been saying a lot recently, I think since the beginning of the year, about the 6 months, which we're in now. And then, of course, today, Julian Assange was released. But I've been keeping I wouldn't say a close eye on the 6 months, but I've been keeping an eye out for any news that I think that they may be referring to.
Mhm.
But but basically that we're going through ascension, that our energy is changing, that we are evolving into a crystalline beings. And we are, the other day when I was in the group channeling, they actually said we're no longer in the birthing stage, which was which COVID could be referred to as the birthing stage, but we are more in the infancy stage where we're learning to walk now. And that's how I feel personally. I feel like I'm learning to walk more and bring in more of learning to anchor in more of the energies on a daily basis into my own life, rather than just doing it for other people in the readings or healing, or I'm incorporating it more into my own life and making changes in my own life. It feels like, so what else have they said? They've said about the reversal of Atlantis.
What about, what's that?
Yeah,
It's coming up?
yeah. So
Coming up?
well, they've been talking about that since 2020, but it's the reversal of Atlantis, where negative ET energy came in at the time of Atlantis and overthrew Atlantis, and that has been going on ever, and that's stayed until since the downfall of Atlantis. That's what's been happening. And now we're in the reversal of Atlantis. So the Atlantis period, the downfall was, we chose, I say the wrong path because I don't believe there are any mistakes, but we chose a path where we didn't ascend. And this time it's a parallel that's happening, that happened at the downfall of Atlantis, except this timeline on Earth, we get to ascend and we get to move forward. So, but it is also, they have been saying a lot recently about physical changes in our body, physical changes in our awareness, in our environment, but mostly in our body, where we are learning to clear negative energy from the food, from the toxins, from chemicals, from all of that stuff, and withhold it. And also we're here to anchor in the light and to be more positive and to step into a love frequency. We've both touched on that this evening, but to keep moving forward. They've also said more recently that a lot of people were having health problems about 3 months ago, 6 months ago. Mine was at Christmas, so it was around that time, which would be about sort of 6 months ago. And I had one incident where I literally thought I was gonna die. But looking back on it, I think it was some kind of negative attack. I couldn't breathe and I was about to pass out. But I think that was to do with frequency and negative technology, as well as a clearing. But they have been saying like so much, I don't know where to start, but they've been saying about a lot about the negative attacks, and not just on individuals, but also on the collective, things like chemtrails and food, and diet and the water, and how we are here to navigate our way through, and that we as starseeds are here to hold the light, anchor in the new energies. We are the way showers for this time now, and how we are to bring forward the information and discount, not allow anything that goes that tries to stop that, you know, find another way. If a road is blocked, go a different route, you know, simply that. If the road's blocked, don't try and force it, just go a different route. What else have they been saying? They predicted a landing, they predicted a real UFO landing in Florida, which is which I did through them during one of the weekly Pleiadian channelings that I do. And I don't know which week it was, but it was one of them, between now and January going back. I think it was only 3 or 4 weeks before it actually happened that they.
I'm sorry. Can I just ask you, channel, is that Facebook?
No, I use Zoom. So I've stopped using YouTube, and so much. I still have a presence there, and I still have a presence on Facebook. But what I'm using now is Substack at Soma ARah Substack, because that allows me to send out the video once a week. All my videos were getting pulled off YouTube, so it was pointless. You know, I was on.
I just didn't want to interrupt your story. I want you to go back to it, but I want to, because I've kind of been off of social media, and I would love to be able to get back to listening to your channelings. And for those viewers that would be interested, I just wanted to know where we could hear that.
Yeah, thanks, April. If you sign up to my Substack, which is kind of a new platform that I heard about anyway this year recently. It's like an email, but it allows you to share videos and share a lot of things. So it's a great platform. Great platform. It's not limited to just sending an email newsletter. You can do a lot of things with it. So if anyone would like to sign up to that, that's the way. I send out the weekly channelings weekly, normally the day after I've done the session. So the group is on Saturdays now. It used to be Mondays, but I've changed it to Saturdays. And so I normally send out the video or the Pleiadian channelings on a Sunday. So I'm on Substack at Soma ARah. And of course, I have my website as well, which is somaarah.love, which is a new website I have.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Now, do you remember what you were talking about before I interrupted you?
I was, no.
I'm sorry.
No,
talking,
talking
about.
Don't be sorry.
What the Pleiadians had been telling you about cleaning up our physical act, our food, and our, this kind of thing.
Yeah. And also they've been sharing a lot about the collective and the pattern that we've all been going through of cleaning up our own stuff and the negative traits we have, or the negative energy that comes at us, whether it's through technology, or whether it's through negative ships, or whether it's through satellites or computers or frequencies or sound or radio waves, or however we get bombarded with the negative stuff. And also not to forget the voice to skull technology as well, that is very real. It is. Yeah. Schizophrenia, schizophrenics didn't they're not in our history books because they weren't there. Schizophrenia started when the voice to skull technology was developed and used. So that's interesting. And also there's a very, very to me obvious targeting in America, where certain people are targeted to go using voice to skull technology into schools, and to
Well, all kinds of violent
yeah,
acts.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Thank you, April. I couldn't find the words. And that doesn't happen in many countries except America. So
right.
why is that? Why are they, why is that? I mean, I know why it is, because they're using the technology, but is it, and why haven't they developed that in other countries? Is that because of the distance? Is that because the technology is limited to America?
Well, I think Americans are, oh, here comes the train. Uh, I think that the Americans are targeted because we're so independent and they want to keep, God forbid we should unite in unison against what's happening. So they keep us in fear and they keep us unhealthy. And here comes the train. I'm so used to it, I don't really hear it, but um I know you probably do. Um,
No, we
you
don't
know,
hear it. We
just
can't hear it.
keeping our frequency down. If we're distracted with you know, all of the negative news, um, it's gonna keep the collective consciousness vibration, the frequency down because it's so, it's not good.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm starting to wonder as well, April, if the voice to skull technologies that they're using in America to create those events, um, is there a restriction on the frequency that they can reach? And are those technologies just in America? Because I doubt they are. But is
I
what
doubt.
I
Yeah,
doubt, yeah. So why are those voice to skull technologies not used in the same way in other countries?
that's a good question. Um, I think, we've been the United States has been the good guy and the bad guy for sure. And but we're on the cutting edge of what's happening. If there's going to be a big financial crash and it happens in the United States, that's going to have huge ripple effects around, the rest of the countries.
Yes.
And with our political situation, the news is terrible about trying to pit Republicans against Democrats or Democrats against Republicans. It's all, there's no in between. It's all one is horrible, and they try and separate people through politics. It's
Yeah.
so be interesting to see what happens with this next election.
Yes. Yeah. It feels like it feels like we're coming full circle. Um, and it really feels like that. I don't know if it's if that's a, a personal journey that we all need to take, but it feels like something is coming full circle with that, with the energies. We're coming back to, maybe we're just coming back and stepping into our own um empowerment, and and to do with the reversal of Atlantis, stepping back into our own and realizing we've made mistakes, um and stepping back and stepping not stepping back, but
Stepping into our own
yes,
power,
yeah,
being
yes,
sovereign
yes,
and independent thinkers. And, we've really got to throw off the negativity that we're continually bombarded with and tap into who we really are. Um, too many people identify with the fear and everything that's, all the bad things that's going on right now.
mm,
And in reality, that's not who you are at the core. In your heart, at the core, you're a beautiful being. And we've just developed these shells around us from our environment and what's happened to us during this particular incarnation and past incarnation. So that's part of that's so much, such an important part of the spiritual journey, is peeling back the layers to get to who we really are. And once we are our authentic self, that has great power.
Yeah.
And no one can tell us what to do at that point. We decide for ourselves what's right or wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Oh,
think we have been dumbed down, and we're coming back.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to describe, is the coming back to ourselves, coming back to our own self-empowerment and awareness, and awareness of who we really are, that we are, the great I am. And we are a tower of strength, and we do have we are powerful beings. We are powerful beings, and we can overcome and withstand anything that is put in our path, whether it's individual or collective. I could just talk to you for hours, April, but I kind of feel like we should wrap it up for now. And I so look forward to doing more with you and having deeper discussions. Tonight has felt for me like just putting my toe back in the water,
Right.
and taking gently to get back into the interviewing.
Well, this is a conversation. It's like on my YouTube channel, I say heart to heart. It's a conversation, heart to heart, and wherever we go with it is wonderful and surprising.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much for my darling, for this opportunity to just visit with you. And I'm so glad to see you getting back into the public eyes. I mean, you've been out there, but now it seems like your field is really expanding.
Yeah. Yeah. What is your details, April, and what services do you offer, and what books do you have? Will you share?
I have a website, galacticgrandmother.com, and I have a YouTube channel, Galactic Grandmother Heart to Heart. And I'm probably forgetting things, but I kind of classify myself as an author and a teacher and a galactic shaman. The teaching I love to get in, like when I'm asked a question, then that's when I really get downloads and a lot of answers. But I do have curriculums for classes as well. And I do mentoring and, counseling just like you do, where I'm sure you do the same thing. We tap into what our client's higher self has to say and what they want the client to know, what's most important for them to know at the time to work on or be aware of. And we just use our psychic senses for the benefit of others. I certainly don't use it for myself. I mean, I guess sometimes we're blocked from knowing a lot of things about ourselves, but when I really am working with other people, that's when a lot comes through, unless I'm guided to know some other things. And I do know my latest project that I've been told that I need to do it's a 3-part. I'm going to be writing another book, and it's going to be classes about every subject you can imagine. Each chapter that I write, then I'm going to do a video about on YouTube, but that's not going to cover it all. And then the third part will be, I'm going to be doing online Zoom classes where we can really get in the questions and answers and discuss everything about that, the latest chapter. That's what I've been told. It's a 3-part thing. And it's just, to help people discover their own gifts and who they are and their mission in life.
That sounds
So
beautiful. It sounds well needed. It sounds very meaty, like something. Yeah,
it is. And when I was told this twice now in the last couple of weeks, you know how it is. It's like, really? That's a lot of, it seems like a lot of work, but at the same time, I know when I start doing it, I get such satisfaction out of it.
yeah, it's great to be doing the work. And I know how that feels,
Uh-huh.
to be able to sit down and write and channel, because that's what you're doing. I know,
Right.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave it there for this evening. If people would like to find me, and I'm on Substack at Soma ARah. I'm also on YouTube as Carol Noonan, the Pleiadian Child. My website is somaarah.love. So those are the ways you can find me. I have less of a presence now on YouTube and Facebook than ever due to censoring and shadow banning. And I put a post up, I think it was yesterday, just because I knew something was going on more extreme with my Facebook page. So I put a note up, just a comment saying, can anyone see this? And I think 4 people have seen it now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll have to check. I'm on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. And I try and just post things, inspirational things or pictures of when I'm on vacation or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to be getting into the meteor stuff as you will be. And I really look forward to us working together.
Yeah, me too.
I love you.
I love
Thank
you
you.
too, sister.
And
And I'll see you soon.
yes, we'll
Yeah.
we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Love you, April.
Love you.